today we are having a wonderful experience because, and I particularly am having a wonderful experience because I am dying to know about the life of Ricky Ian Gordon. And we are going to be able to hear the whole thing because he is with us now. Ricky Ian Gordon, and he's going to tell me everything I want to know.
I'm glad. I have a little cold, so this morning I could barely speak, but I'm much better now. So I'm glad we're doing it.
I have to know, this is
What?
why I'm really interested in knowing the sex, drugs, and opera. I want to be able to read it, and I have very bad eyesight. And I
You want to
can't,
be able to read the recording? I've
I
never
no,
Oh,
no, 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 no,
oh, you
no.
want to read my book?
Yes. And
Oh,
I can't.
Kathy, I did an audiobook of it.
Oh, great. Then I can get the audiobook because I can't see. So I would never be able to read the book. So the audiobook I could get at the
Audible.com. It's available everywhere, and it's me
library.
reading it.
Is it the library also?
Probably. I mean, it's. I did it for Audible.com, so it's everywhere.
Okay, great. That is absolutely, that's what I wanted to ask because that's going to be really wonderful to hear it that way. But I wanted to ask you something because this is something that I, as a performer, always goes through. And it mentioned that it was a difficult situation off and on in your career. And what I see is this very successful man. And it didn't look like there could be anything at all, but I'm sure there is. And what kinds of things that made you write sex, drugs, and opera?
Seeing through. That's the subtitle. It's Seeing Through: A Chronicle of Sex, Drugs, and Opera. On March 12th, 2020, I was rehearsing my opera at Lincoln Center.
Oh, I love that
And
opera. So wonderful. Everybody, if you haven't seen, is that recorded? Because that's a great,
yes, that's on PBS. That was
that's
recorded for great performances. Intimate
fabulous.
Apparel.
Directed by Bartlett Sher and featuring music by Ricky Ian Gordon. The curtain rises on Intimate Apparel.
Intimate Apparel.
Yes,
Fabulous.
thank you, Kathy. So anyway, we were rehearsing it, and then we were postponed. And then my opera for New York City Opera, Garden of the Fiends Continues, was postponed. And then
Oh,
my opera for Aspen, Grapes of Wrath, was postponed. And I was like, I'm going to kill myself now. So we came
excuse me
upstate.
for laughing, but I know what you mean.
I was like, okay, now I have nothing to do with my life. So when we came upstate, I felt a little bit like it was almost like music had betrayed me, and I didn't feel like making music, it was sort of a lark, Kathy. I A lot of my friends are poets, novelists, and like really good ones. And I just thought, I asked one of them, Marie Howe, who had won the Pulitzer Prize last year, and I asked her what she would think about starting a writing group because all of us were feeling isolated anyway, so we could meet every Friday on Zoom and share our work with one another. And I would be the only one that wasn't like, I'm a composer, not that I don't write words, but I would definitely be the novice in this group. And Marie thought it was a great idea. So it was me, Marie, a novelist and poet named Victoria Riddell, Donna Massini, another poet, Nick Flynn, a fantastic poet, Michael Klein, Sophie Cabot Black. Anyway, we started meeting every Friday, and I felt like I loved these people, but I also deeply respected and admired them. And I thought the only way I am going to impress them or get them to love me is I have to experiment with seeing how deeply I could allow myself to be known,
Oh,
right?
yes. Oh, yes. Yes, I do know that one very, very good.
And it was so I said things, I started writing, and I just thought, all right, I'm going to use this as catharsis and exorcism. And I said things I've never told anyone, not even Kevin, no one. And
And Kevin is your partner.
Yes,
Yeah.
for 25 years.
And you never told him some of these things.
No.
I love it. I think it's so, what's so wonderful about it is that you came to the realization that the only way through to success was through your heart, through your truth. I think most people don't think that, and they're trying to do this, and they're trying to do that, and it's bullshit. And then suddenly you realize the only thing that's going to work is when you're telling the truth. So go on.
The other writers would sometimes they'd bring in a poem or a paragraph or a page or two. Once I opened the tap, I would come in with like 30 pages at a time. And one time, Nick Flynn, he's one of the writers in the group. Nick is known for, he wrote a memoir called Another Bullshit Night in Suck City. And it was turned into a movie with Robert De Niro called Becoming Flynn, where Robert De Niro played Nick's father. Nick talked about one day, he talked about the energy in the writing. And this was really a lark, Kathy. But my favorite publishing company is Farrar, Straus and Giroux. They publish a lot of what I think is the most incredible, important writing. And I always thought Jonathan Galassi was like the most impressive editor around. For one thing, he was Robert Gottlieb's editor. So I was like, so completely on a lark, Kathy. I sent him 2 chapters of the book. And I said, and I said, you don't even have to read this, but I guarantee you it won't be like any other composer memoir you've ever read. And he wrote me back a letter. And he said, there's definitely something here. And what I would do if I were you is I would keep accruing material. Don't look back, don't edit. Just keep writing and see what it is. Let it find its shape. Anyway, but it was very encouraging. Oh, and he said, I'd love you to read a book we just published. It was John Giorno's memoir, The Beat Poet. And I read this book. Jonathan sent it to me. I read it in like 2 weeks. And then I wrote him and I told him what I thought of that book. And I sent him 2 more chapters. And then that night, he wrote me and he said, I want this book. Do you have a literary agent? And I was like, you have to be kidding me. I ran upstairs screaming to Kevin, like Jonathan Galassi wants my book. And so the next day I had to get a literary agent. And this was also a lark. I somehow got a woman named Lori Liss, who
Now, wait a minute. Why do you have to have a literary agent if you have somebody that's interested in the book?
Because he is the editor and the head of the publishing company. You need an agent to negotiate your fee.
Excuse me. Now I understand what you're. Yeah.
So he put an offer. So Lori Liss was my agent, and she was Rachel Maddow's agent. Anyway, he gave her an offer. She negotiated like way above his offer, and he accepted. So Kathy, I went from it's the pandemic, I have no money, I'm on unemployment, to I have a book contract with Farrar, Straus and Giroux to write my memoir, and I already have like hundreds of pages of it. By the time I handed it into Jonathan, I didn't know anything about, for example, I didn't know that your manuscripts should be in double spaced. So I had 800 single spaced pages.
Oh, you're kidding. Single spaced?
And Jonathan was like, well, for one thing, you have to cut this in half. And he said, not because it has to be cut in half, not because of content, because no one will buy it. So, and he was great because he didn't tell me what to cut. He just said, you have to cut it in half. And
my God, you had to cut it in half?
Yeah.
Oh, the thing that is so wonderful is that you were in that group. Did you work on it in the group afterwards?
Every Friday, we would all read to each other. At first, there were no limits. So I could read for like a half hour. But then when Nick got into the group, Nick was like, why don't we use a timer? And then we would time each other. So everybody had 15 minutes. And even I wrote tons of poems, and the poems were in the book as well. So when I cut the book, I kept I kept a lot of the poems out, and that's why now I'm thinking of having another book, because I have all this material that didn't end up in the first book. But it's something I was really proud of, because for one thing, my oldest sister Susan, who died in 2005, in the midst of her drug addiction, she got a contract from Farrar, Straus and Giroux to write a memoir. And she didn't she didn't finish it because she was a drug addict. I mean, she was in like jail. And anyway,
Oh,
so
no. Jesus.
I feel like somehow it's weird that I wrote a memoir that she's in for the same publishing company only years later. You know what I mean? It's
Oh, my
just
God.
life is so strange and circular. But
That is,
what you see is, when you say you see me as successful, I mean, I got sober at 33. I was an alcoholic and a drug addict. I
that's
have
why I love you, because you know about my husband, don't you? My
no.
husband was 30 years sober when he died. And he was a person that people said to me, he saved my life.
Wow, Kathy.
You didn't know that, but he
What was his
was
name?
his name, he was the bartender at Jimmy Ray's. His name is Hugh Gormley. And he knew everybody, the actors and the writers, and he'd introduce this person to that person and everything. But every once in a while, and this was the lady who was the costume lady on Inspector Calls that I was in. And she said to me, I went over to the bar and Huey said, "You're drinking too much. Why don't I take you to a meeting?" And he saved her. I mean, in essence,
Unbelievable.
he saved her. Now, he did that with lots of people. And what he did with himself was amazing, because
He was a mess.
we were both crazy. I was a codependent. I mean, I could,
Yes. Al-Anon.
a
Yeah.
cuckoo nut person. He once went, said, he was having, when I got into Al Anon, there was one day that I said, I have to tell the truth. And this is why I said the business with you about telling the truth. I have to tell the truth that I am involved with a man who has a live in woman in his house. They were not married, but they've been living for a long time. And I tell this story in a huge meeting, and I hear, and after the meeting, people come up to me and they say, "Oh, I'm so happy you said that. That's exactly what I'm living through."
Wait, you had another woman living with you and your
No,
husband?
with Huey. Huey
Oh,
had Huey had a mistress living with him, and he would say after the bar, he'd been at the end of the evening, he said, "I'm going up to fix my mother's." He was a super in his mother's house.
wow.
"I'm going to go up and fix my mother's boiler." He was coming up and fixing my boiler. What can I say?
Oh my God.
And I mean, finally, she left him, and we were in couples therapy together. And he didn't tell me for a year. And after he didn't tell me, I said, "Screw you." And I left him for 5 years. I mean, we leave
Wow.
each other and come back and leave each other. I mean, what a performance. But the point is, when he got sober, what a man. And that's what happens when you guys get sober. But how did you compose? When did you start writing in Intimate Apparel and the
Yeah.
Fitzy
I
Contini and everything?
Listen to me. I got sober in 1989, and basically I would say my career as a composer before that was wildly spotty. And the way I composed then was, I would take speed, and I was I was erratic. Do you know what I mean? But like, for example, before I got sober, I never in a million years could say yes to an opera commission. Like, I just didn't have that kind of concentration or commitment or discipline. You know what I mean? Like, you say yes to writing an opera, you got to show up. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Mm.
Intimate Apparel took years, and
And
including,
you wrote it with that marvelous lady too. Was she
with
part of
Lynn
the?
Nottage, who's
Yeah.
won 2 Pulitzers and a Genius Award. But even part of what took so long, even for Lynn, is Intimate Apparel was her very, very successful play. She had to learn what it meant to turn it into a libretto, which means you have to really reduce this text because you have to trust that music is telling the story now. So it took her 3 tries, and we had a dramaturg at the Metropolitan Opera, but it took her a long time. So the whole process took a while, but oh my God, by the time we got it, and then in a way, COVID was a gift because we were supposed to open March 23rd, and on March 12th we stopped. And then I had 2 years to keep looking at it, and I had already seen it in front of an audience for 2 or almost 3 weeks in
Oh,
preview.
really?
So it was like I kept making it better and better and better, And
Where
by
does
the time,
where does the music come from your brain? Where does it come from?
I don't know, I really wish I knew. I'm writing this opera now of Driving Miss Daisy, and I'll
Oh,
get to the end of a scene, and then I get to the next scene, and I don't know, like somehow I just know what to do. I wish I understood it better because, you'll see I have enormous insecurity about my work and my writing, but somehow, the demons are loud, but the mission is louder.
that's so wonderful that you say that because our demons are,
They're
I mean,
crippling.
ridiculous. Mine are like so big because of the people we came from. And
Yes.
it's like, and then when I did my one person show and I imitated all those people and what they did and what they said, and I am Leah Luboschutz. I am Catherine's grandmother. Everyone calls me Lubo. I am a violinist and I will tell you about me. My grandmother was a diva, and that's what we grew up with. But you didn't
Oh,
grow
she
up
was
with
an
it.
opera singer, right?
No, she was a violinist. And if you
Oh,
go on to the internet, onto it's the internet, and it's called The Actress Catherine Wolfe. My friend who is doing this editing of this video, he's making me into a star on the internet, and he put in my one person show, a clip of my one person
oh,
show,
wow.
which is a picture of Boris and Lubo in the background as I talk about them. And I mean,
Oh,
what
right. That's what that book. That's the book
that Tommy did.
that Tom wrote. Yeah.
But anyway, so what did you come from in terms of, I mean,
You mean the music in me, or?
yeah, I mean, did you have to take lessons of,
Yeah,
classical?
I mean, I started taking piano lessons when I was 5, but a really big thing, Kathy, is my mother, before I was born, was a star in the Borscht Belt. When she was 15, she there was a singing contest in Central Park, and my mother sang Indian Love Call,
Oh my
and
God.
Jenny Grossinger was there.
Oh,
Jenny Grossinger flipped out for my mother and took her out of school, brought my mother up to Grossinger's, and made her a total star. And
oh,
my
how
mother, before
incredible.
my mother was even 20, and her stage name was Eve Saunders. So she gave that all up to raise a family, but she was wildly talented, and she was a singer and comedian. So when we were growing up, we were her audience, but also I was her pianist. As soon as I could
Oh,
play,
oh,
I would play for my mother, and she'd have her hands on my shoulders, and she'd be singing, "Did he need a stronger hand?" But she had, and I write about this in my book. My mother had her voice was so redolent of, it was like, it was such a deep, rich, beautiful, heartbreaking voice. It was like redolent of the diaspora. You know what I mean? Like, she was a funny person until she started singing. And then when she sang, something so centuries old would come through her voice. And I knew when I was a little boy, I didn't know how to say it, but I knew my mother was the real deal. And that became my North Star, like the beauty of my mother's voice became the most beautiful guide I ever had. And so I became, what did I became? I became a composer of vocal music. I write for singers. And the other thing is, when I was 8, I would go to my friend Peter's piano lessons and he would come to mine. And one day I was at his piano lesson with Mrs. Fox, and I pulled a book out from the shelf. And I don't know what made me pull that book out. My memory is literally it had like smoke and light behind it, but it was a book called The Victor Book of Opera. And just upon looking at that book at 8, and Peter was a year older than me, I became obsessed with opera and I pulled Peter along. So obsessed, we would come into the city every weekend and we'd get online on Sundays at the Metropolitan Opera and City Opera and buy standing room tickets. And then we would write the stars like Franco Corelli
Oh,
and get on their waiting room list. And we'd be on their list.
no
And
kidding.
yeah, I'd be in Franco Corelli's dressing room with his little blonde wife and his little doggy. And we were crazy. But what happened? And then we had one other friend who lived in Brooklyn, and he was also our friend from the standing room line. His name was Arthur Levy. Peter became a big opera agent. Arthur became a big voice teacher, like he's Audra McDonald's voice teacher, and I became an opera composer.
Oh, it's
And we're
amazing.
still best friends.
Oh, isn't that so fabulous? I mean, it's like, what did they call it? It's supposed to happen.
Well, yeah, it's beschert.
Yes,
Share.
exactly.
You know what
Yes.
else? They say something so great in the program. They say after the first miracle, it's vulgar to doubt. And though I have a lot of doubts, I also know that if I look at my life, the trajectory is pretty profound. I mean, it's like from start to finish, I am who I was supposed to be. I just, I had to surmount a lot of personal doubt and demons, and I still
Do
do.
you
I
think
still
that's
do.
why you drank, or is it just because it's a disease?
I, you know, People say it's just a disease, but I definitely think I had demons and I had, and when I started the book, by the way, the first topic was I had been in a men's group for 10 years for men who were sexually abused. And
Who
that is
abused you? Who abused you? Can you
that
tell?
is I was a young boy who had sex with a lot of older men.
Hmm.
And it's like, I mean, including my brother-in-law while my sister was having her tonsils out. So
Jesus Christ.
if you, it, that was the first thing I needed to write about. And then it swam into everything until Jonathan Galassi is the one, when he read everything I'd said to him, he said, it seems to me this book is about sex, drugs, and music. And that's when called it, and seeing through. The reason it's called Seeing Through is because the epigraph of the book is taken from one of my favorite American poets. Her name is Brenda Hillman. And the line is, the job of the living is to be seen through.
Oh my God,
And
is that incredible?
that is an incredible
Oh
line,
my
right?
God, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yes, transparency.
Yes.
So calling the book Seeing Through, and then, so that's how it all came together. It's a big book too. I mean, it's not like,
Well, I can't wait to hear it because I can hear it now.
yeah,
Because
and
you,
it's really, I'm really proud, Kathy, you'd be interested in this. It's hard doing an audiobook.
I know I
It's hard
couldn't
on
do
the
it.
voice.
Oh yeah.
It's hard on every time your stomach growls, you have to start over. It's hard staying present but not crying, not like the whole thing was a drama. It took a while, but then I listened to it after I did it and I thought, oh, I did a good job.
That's great.
I did it at Audible with the director and
Oh.
engineers. I mean, it was like a big production.
The next thing I want to ask you is with I know you're doing the opera in Cincinnati, the Eurydice.
Orpheus and Euridice.
Yeah. Now, are you using, is someone writing it for you, or are you using the old myths and everything, or what are you doing?
Well, okay, this is interesting, Kathy. You know that I had a partner who died of AIDS. His name was,
No, I did not know that.
oh yeah,
Why
it's a
would I
big,
know this? The only thing I know is that you live next to Lexi, and I think that's and I met you. And I'm feeling so wonderful that we're doing this tape because I knew I would like you anyway, but I'm liking you even better. And
I'm
I hope we
glad.
can get together.
Thank you.
Anyway, so go.
Yes, yes. I his name was Jeffrey, and he died in 1996. And it was absolutely my whole world. My world fell apart for 5 years because it was at the tail end of everyone I know dying, and then I was
Oh,
deeply in love with this man, and I basically loved him right out of the world, including he at one point asked me if I would learn the Buddhist teachings because he wanted to die as a Buddhist. So I wrote him an opera of the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
yes,
So
I
that
saw that.
I was setting all of those teachings to music as he was getting ready to leave the world. But
Mm.
in the last 2 years of his life, there was a clarinetist who loved my music. His name was Todd Palmer. And he was touring the country with Kathleen Battle, the famous soprano,
Oh, I know her. Yeah.
right? And they were doing The Shepherd on the Rock, which is for clarinet, piano, and soprano. And he wanted to commission me to write a companion piece to that. And I really needed the money, but it was a difficult thing to say yes to because I was really distracted by, Jeffrey had a lot of needs. And
Oh God.
so we kept meeting, and I would say, okay, I think I'm going to let me find a poem. Then I wouldn't find the poem. Then he would say, then I would say, all right, I think I'm going to write the text. Then I would realize I can't write the text. Finally, we met one day there's a cafe on 83rd Street called Cafe Lalo.
Yeah, I know where it is. Yeah.
We met there. I said, Todd, I really think the only thing I can come up with is a clarinet and piano piece. And he was disappointed, but he was like, at that point, going to take anything from me. And, anyway, that night, I went home and Jeffrey and I were in bed. And at 4 in the morning, I woke up. I had a dream. And in the dream, Todd was Orpheus. And I saw it was so clear. He was wearing a blue and white, like one of those French Apache t-shirts, like the boat neck shirts. And Eurydice was in a dress of yellow. And the whole thing came to me. I got up and I went to the table and I wrote on a piece of paper, one, Orpheus. And the first line was, Orpheus played his pipe, music like a cool blue stripe circling the heavens. By the time at about 5 o'clock, Jeffrey woke up because the energy was so charged in our apartment. Then I had the whole libretto. I called Todd at 8 a.m. and I said, Todd, it's not going to be 10 minutes and it's not going to be done right away, but I really wrote a piece. And it took a while, but eventually, it's over an hour long. There's no piece like it because the clarinetist is Orpheus and he has to memorize it because he's completely staged and choreographed into the piece. The
You
soprano,
mean Orpheus is playing the clarinet and Battle is singing?
well, no, so we didn't do it. So what happened was he never could have done it with Kathleen Battle. There's no way she would learn a piece that long. But Lincoln Center invited me to do it there. And I did it as part of the Great Performances series. And we did it at the Rose Theater, the new Lincoln Center Theater. won the Obie Award for like most beautiful piece that year. And so I wrote the text. And this another famous opera singer named Elizabeth Futrell did
Elizabeth,
the
what?
Elizabeth Futrell. She did everything. Like she sang at the Met, she sang at City Opera. She premiered it, and then Doug Verone, a really well-known director and choreographer, had his whole company was in it. So it was this dance theater piece. So that is what we're doing in Cincinnati
Ah,
because Evans Mirages, who runs Cincinnati Opera Company, saw that piece at an opera company in Vermont. Kathy, this is weird. He saw it in 2016. I was supposed to be there, but that's when I was in Maine, in Rockport, directing one of my operas, and I collapsed and ended up in the hospital. That's the whole story where Tom Wolfe came to the hospital and wouldn't leave me until they found a room for me. And then I was in the hospital for like, I was sick for months. And
what did you have?
it was um it was like a mysterious blockage in my
Oh,
intestines, and they opened me up. They really couldn't find anything, and they ended up just removing a piece of my intestines, but whatever they did, I never had it again. But it was the most excruciating, horrifying pain, and it was opening night. It was opening night of my opera,
oh my
and I
God. When
collapsed.
did you
And
do it in Rockport?
say it again.
Where did you do it in Rockport? Did
We
they?
were doing it at it's called Bay Street Theater Festival, Bay Street
Oh, and
Chamber Music.
when
It
you
was,
say Rockport, it wasn't Rockport, Maine. Yes.
yes, it was Rockport, and it was
Well,
Tom's Festival. Isn't that Bay Street Music?
Bay
Bay
Chamber
Chamber
concert.
Festival.
So
We were
you did
doing
it
it
at the
there.
Opera House there? You did
You
it
know,
in
it was a small, like black box theater, and I directed it in that room, and it was beautiful. But on the day we were supposed to open, I collapsed,
my God.
and oh my God, it was those poor people because I kept saying, I have to get out of here. I have to go to my opening night. So at around 4 o'clock, I just made them let me out of the hospital. And as soon as I got back to my room, I started vomiting blood and oh my
Oh
God,
my.
Kathy. And then that's it. And I was in so much pain. And basically Kevin called Tom. He got his number from Lex and said, I wonder if you would consider just going and sitting with him at the hospital. He's really in trouble. And Tom came and
So
stayed
Kevin
with
was
me.
at your house and he wasn't with you.
No, he wasn't with me. He was in the city. So that's my
Drama. You got
connection with
lots
your
of drama
family.
in your life.
Huh?
Did you hear what I said? You drama. You have a lot of drama in your
I have
life.
a lot of drama in my life. You said it, baby. That's the Orpheus and Euridice they're doing this summer with the first clarinet from the Cincinnati Symphony.
Are
So
we going to see it? I
well,
mean, are we going to see it in New York?
I don't know, Kathy. I mean, I would love for Orpheus and Euridice to be revived in New York City because that was 2005. It should be done here again. But you know, Kathy, it's a very weird thing, New York City. It's a lot of times every other place is so friendly and warm to composers, and New York is just sometimes can just be a mean old town.
Oh,
And
it's just unbelievable.
and let's bring in critics. The
Oh,
fact that you're doing this thing before the public, everybody writes about it. It's a lot. It's a lot. And that's another thing. In like 2017, I had like a nervous breakdown and went on antidepressants. And thank God, because they really helped. But it's a lot to tolerate. I had a tumultuous and violent childhood.
and look at how nice you turned out. I mean, this is the thing that's amazing to me. I'm just going to bring up something. I don't usually do this much talking, but I have to
I'm
because
happy to hear you talk.
the um, 60 Minutes had the most extraordinary thing on the other night and had the three babies that were gotten into Auschwitz. First of all, if you were pregnant at Auschwitz or Treblinka, you were killed.
Right.
And these three women were pregnant. They didn't even know about each other. And at the end of all of this, and they find out that the babies get born, these three people were on, they're called the babies. And it was so moving that their mothers got them through that horrendous piece of crap. I mean, and somebody said, I don't know if I could do that. And she said, the person said, if you are faced with a situation like that, you have no idea how strong you can be. And the three people were so charming and so lovely. And look at how you came out.
Well, it's all about resilience.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about how you get through things and do you get through things. And we either make it through and we're resilient or we collapse under the weight of it.
Yes.
So, and we're lucky because artists can create a container for their pain and their joy and their exaltation. Civilians don't have that. So a lot of times they just have to live with all this pain and they don't get to express it. So I consider us lucky.
I think we are. The gentleman who is taping this right now has just left the Tisch. He's just finished the Tisch. And he already has created a film. And
Is he a young guy?
He's very young.
Because I used to teach at Tisch.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, he's very young and very handsome. I think I should bring him on for a moment.
Yeah, I'd love to meet him.
Okay, he's going to come here, and he's with my dog, who is a lunatic. This is Dante Bullock.
Hey, Dante.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And this is Buddy Boy, who, if we put him on the floor, goes hysterical. It's my friend's dog who died, and I had to take the dog.
You got to adopt him.
Yeah. Well, Dante is doing exactly what we're talking about, and he's a young person. He's in his 22, right?
22, yeah.
22.
Dante, I taught in the musical theater program.
Oh, did you? Was it NSB, the new studio on Broadway, or
one of the it's down on like 7th Street or 2nd Avenue?
Oh,
it's the Tisch School, and there were all these like composers like Billy Finn and Michael John LaCusa. Anyway, we all taught there. Yeah, I had a class. It was called Ricky's class.
Oh my God, that's incredible! Yeah, I got a lot of friends in the musical theater program.
Yeah,
but
good
it's wonderful.
So you're a video filmmaker. You're a filmmaker?
Yeah, I mean, I do everything nowadays: acting, directing, filmmaking, screenwriting, producing, anything creative I can get my hands on, really.
How did you two meet?
Oh, his wonderful mentor, Andre Robert Lee. He is fabulously talented and a wonderful man who directed the film about my sister's business. And Lucy has written for 30 years. Lucy did something called Bridging the Gap. And it teaches doctors, lawyers, everything about going into communities and helping communities doctor themselves and do all this stuff. And it's an amazing program. And she has these symposiums. I think she once had Obama on one of the symposiums, but this was before he was Obama. Anyway, she needed to do a film, and she reached out to this man who was a person who had been at the school that we went to high school with in Germantown Friends School. And he was then grown up, and he's written 3 marvelous films. I mean, there's one film that you would love about the man who created guitars out of the wood of the trees that were where people were lynched. I mean, it's an extraordinary film. And the other one that he did was about what it was like for him to be in that situation, a Black person in a school with all these lucky white people. And Dante also was a scholar, that kind of community scholar, in the same school.
It's called Germantown?
Germantown Friends School, yeah.
Oh, wow.
A Quaker school. And the thing is that when I went there, which was 100 years ago, they had people in it that would have been wonderful with him. We had a great director who created something called the Malvern Festival. So we all did plays, famous plays. and I played the in the Mad Woman of Chaillot, the one who had a dog.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Anyway, so that's what we started out talking about. The new generation is going to have a creation that is wonderful for them,
Yeah.
and it's
Yes.
just great that they,
They're, it's up to them. It's up to
yes,
them to make this world better. I just started Driving Miss Daisy, and I really have to trust
it's
myself
such a
because
wonderful piece to do.
it's fun because it's for Opera Atlanta and it's to open a brand new theater. And
Oh,
I think I want to do it with theater singers. So like Brian Stokes Mitchell and
oh,
Victoria Clark or
oh my God.
Christine Ebersole, and the son Booley might be an opera singer. Yeah,
Listen, Christine Ebersole is so marvelous.
she's fantastic. She was in I did Grapes of Wrath at the Met. I mean, not at the Met, at Carnegie Hall the first time. That was when Jane Fonda narrated it, and Christine was May the waitress. I love Christine. And Vicky is probably in her late 60s. So, look,
She's only that old? I thought she was much older.
Victoria Clark? No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm,
Ah,
mm-mm.
she's also very wonderful. Yeah.
She's one, and I've known her since she got to New York. And, luckily, that's the one thing about New York is if you're in the world, you end up meeting everybody. And then, having made any kind of name for myself, at least I can ask anyone I want to do stuff. You know
Yeah.
what I
Oh, how wonderful.
mean?
That
That's a
is
good thing. Yeah.
that is a great thing. So who were you saying for the man?
Brian Stokes Mitchell. Do you know who he
Yeah, I
is?
do. I do.
He
I
won the
don't
toy. He was in Ragtime
I know
originally.
I know exactly who he is, but
Yeah. He'd be a great Hulk.
how wonder oh, and also you don't need to have the maid and everything else. You just have that.
No, it's just the three characters, just like the play.
Yeah, I saw it originally and I was so impressed. It was such a great thing.
And he's part of it. Alfred Uri. It's basically a festival of his works. So this will be the world premiere of this opera of his play.
That's your next opera is
Yes, Drive Miss Daisy.
Driving
But
Mistakes.
yeah, and then Lynn and I wrote another opera, our second opera, and it was for the 50th anniversary of Opera Theater St. Louis. And her daughter Ruby wrote it with us, and it was called This House, and it was about a house in Harlem through a century and all the ghosts that inhabit it and the way they haunt the current characters. It was really good. I mean, I should share with you, I got the one of the most incredible reviews I've ever gotten in my life for that opera. And I mean, I do pretty well in the reviews department. I mean, as I say in my book, I've been revered and I've been reviled, but so have we all. But this was really a beautiful opera, and I hope that comes to New York at some
That's
point.
what I
And
hope too, because that would be so wonderful.
it's
With
just really hard to in New York. New York has almost become provincial because everything it's so costly to do anything in New York that the only things that get done most of the time are very commercial.
with a star, and then everybody stands up. It drives me
For
crazy.
everything. You see like a turd and people standing there and you're like, I can't even believe
I
they're
got to tell
standing for
you,
this.
I have seen things that I was going to walk out of, and
Me
people
too.
stand, and I get so angry. I say, Kathy,
No,
give
it's
it up.
infuriating.
Yeah, it really is. I want to tell you, everybody, you heard that what he's doing and what he's bringing to New York, and we have to all say together, come to New York. Let us see this because this would be a marvelous thing. We all have to write to whoever we need to write to and get everything he does because it's such an experience to actually be talking to you and understanding a little bit more. I don't understand much about your life, but a little bit more. It's just such a pleasure. And
Oh,
I hope that I'll be able to do another one of these things after you do the Driving Miss Daisy.
absolutely. That would be fun.
It would be fun, and we can talk about that and all the other ones because I know It's just so extraordinary. And because I'm only going to have to cut off simply because of the length. We might have to take some of this out.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it. This has been a long one, but just do what you need to do and do at your leisure. I think you'll enjoy the book, and especially with me reading it to you.
Oh, yes, I'm going to go get
Just
it.
be prepared, Kathy. It's X-rated at certain points.
Oh, I don't know how I could take it.
I don't think you'll be able to, Kathy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy. Thanks, Dante. Thank that little doggy, and I'm happy to meet you all.
So we'll talk to you later.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye, Kathy. Bye, Dante.
Bye bye.